Hi, I'm James Bedford. Welcome to Cisco Live 2014 in San Francisco. Now, the Internet of Everything and Internet of Things, hot topics this year at Cisco Live in San Francisco. And of course, we had the industry keynote this week featuring partners EMC, NetApp, and Intel, all talking about how they're working with Cisco to drive the Internet of Things to customers to really change people's lives. I'm now joined by Tony Shakib. Tony, how are you?
Doing really well.
It's been a few months since I've seen you.
It has been.
It's like deja
Since
vu.
Milan.
Since Cisco Live in Milan, yes, of
That's
course.
right.
And we're back here talking about the exciting world of the Internet of Things. But for anyone that missed the keynote and then are watching us online, just tell us, what is the Internet of Things?
Great, thanks James. Really, Internet of Things, the concept is very simple. It's all about connecting, ordinary objects that, and driving analytics from it, and from those creating business outcomes. And these objects could be anything. It could be high value objects like a jet engine, it could be a Caterpillar truck, it could be a low value asset like a street lamp or a wheelchair. And how do you connect to these elements? And then by connectivity, you can drive analytics. There's data coming up, and data is raw data because they're going to generate a ton of data. And how do you really convert that kind of data that we call data at rest to wisdom, which is really cool things that you can then drive actions, and then it's creating business outcomes. So then creating new outcomes, capabilities to drive, to monetize and drive value out of connecting these assets.
One of the quotes I loved in the keynote this week was data is currency, and that's so true, of course. Data provides us with information, we can make intelligent decisions, and of course, data is big data. And of course, we amass this data, we have to know what to do with it. Let's talk about some of the business challenges that are driving our customers to using the Internet of Everything.
The challenges, it's really a few very simple areas. The biggest challenge is security, because when people connect their assets, in a way they're exposing them to the outside world. So it's very important to have a very comprehensive security architecture all the way from the the actual device to the cloud, that you could manage them in a very reliable way. The second issue that you run into beyond that is interoperability. Basically, many of the vendors that create these sensors, they have proprietary standards and they don't interoperate. So to create a full experience across many of these industries that are multi-vendor, we need to come up with a way that they can interoperate. And a lot of companies are coming to Cisco because we've done this in the IT world. We had FDDI, token ring, ATM, and over time we really helped the industry converge to Ethernet and Wi-Fi. So we would like to do the same thing by going to IP technologies that are scalable with IPv6 into billions of devices. And then really the third thing is what you just said. Once you start generating that immense amount of data, is how do you process the data at the edge of the network, which is a new architecture that we call fog computing, as opposed to cloud, where it's essentially a distributed architecture that we, in addition to networking at the edge, we provide compute and storage where our partners can run their own business application and start processing the data. And usually there's only about 1% of the data that is valuable, that are things that you want to do things with. Well, we can discard the other 99% right at the source and take that 1% and either take actions right at the edge or bring it to the center, from the headquarters and manage it from there.
So you've mentioned customers and partners there. Who are the early adopters of the Internet of Things? What industries have really adopted this technology and are running with it now and transforming their businesses?
Excellent question. Basically, most of the industries are doing it at varying degrees. So we're seeing a lot of innovations in the public sector, where the mayors of the city, are trying to generate more revenue, but also enhance the lives of the citizens. So we're having a lot of success at the city level. Connected cities, smart governments, and in some cases even countries, like the country of Israel, they really want to digitize the entire country and how they manage things. So that's one sector that's very active.
That's so exciting because it impacts everyone, you, me, our audience,
everyone
watching us.
Ordinary citizens, hospitals, healthcare. So cities are definitely one of the big ones. The next one is manufacturing. Manufacturing is big, is pervasive, especially here in US with cheap gas from fracking. a lot of big companies are bringing manufacturing back home. So it's a booming, area. It's a booming industry, and people are trying to do it in a very smart way, where labor costs are a minimum amount of the investment, and now that the cost of energy is low, they're able to run these industries as cheaply as they could have offshore, in third world countries.
Yeah.
So manufacturing is awesome, and there's so much innovation that you could apply to it. A third industry is what I call energy in whole, both the utility companies and oil and gas and mining. That sector is very active. And then the fourth one that we're seeing a ton of activity is transportation.
Yes, of course we have.
Yeah, and transportation, honestly, regulation could either help speed things up or slow it down. In transportation, there's actually a regulation called PTC, Positive Train Control, where the government has a mandate to modernize the whole rail signaling infrastructure to do collision avoidance. And once they put that infrastructure in place, then you can start modernizing and bring technologies to the stations, then you bring it onto the trains, and you give the same experience as you would flying. Like going to an airport with your phone connected, do all sorts of things. Now you could do it in the train stations and really enhance the user experience. So these four are at the forefront. Healthcare, there's a lot of really cool stuff happening there. Agriculture,
what is happening
education.
Within healthcare specifically, can you share some examples with us of healthcare organizations and how they are physically using the Internet of Everything?
Absolutely, happy to do it. There's just so many different examples. Let me give you one.
Okay.
We had a great meeting with a company that runs a network of 80 hospitals.
Okay.
And then when we sat down and talked to the CIO that usually worries about the network, and we said, what is your biggest concern? They came back and said, our nurses, they have 8,000 nurses, they're spending 50% of their time looking for things. Or they could be spending that time with patients, giving better care. So now, just think about it. We already have a Wi-Fi system, and with a very simple asset tracking, we could start monitoring, the blood glucose monitor or anything that they want, and instantly on their iPad, they could locate it and they go to it and they find it. They were telling us they have 3 times more the amount of wheelchairs than they need to, because they can never locate them. They don't know where these things are.
They lose them.
So it's
How can you lose a wheelchair? It's huge.
Because there's 20 of them by that door, and then one in the staircase. So just finding assets, and making the nurses much more efficient, and at the same time, you just keep going up the value curve. These things all build on each other. Then you bring automation. Right now, a lot of the devices that monitor the patient, health, when something goes wrong, they send an alert.
Yeah.
And there's this term called alert fatigue, that usually nurses hear it so many times, they don't quite respond in time. So a lot of the simple stuff that are not evasive, now you can have the machine start administering the drug, the simple things that are not. So you can see it just cuts, increases the efficiency, it reduces the amount of stuff that, you don't really need the high-skilled laborers to do, and, everybody's happier. The patients are happier, nurses are doing more productive stuff, the hospitals are running much more profitably. So that, that's one area. The other area that we're active is, we found out that 82% of the people that go to the hospital, they don't need to. And
interesting.
If they could have been diagnosed with a few set of simple parameters remotely at home or these distant clinics, these problems could have been resolved. And then we also have some countries like Japan where they have an aging population where they just physically don't have enough, space in the hospitals to care for them. And, the elderly rather be at home if they have a way to be cared for and interactively be monitored and talk to their physician than to go to the hospital. So there's just so many fascinating use cases.
This blows my mind. I mean, the Internet of Things firmly puts people at the heart of it.
Absolutely.
So everything we do enhances our lives. And as I said, your life, my life, you viewing us, the 140,000 people you online. I find this so exciting, Tony, because, as you said, you can have an aging population, people want to stay at home. If they need to take pills every day, there could be a sensor inside their pill box.
Absolutely.
So then, as a son, I know when my mother has taken her pill, and if she hasn't, she gets a phone call, take your pill. I think that's amazing. And of course, with the smart connected cities, I know that the city of Barcelona, they have trash cans with sensors in.
Absolutely.
And they're saving money because instead of the trash collector going around to the trash can and picking up a can that's half empty, they only go to it when it's full because a sensor has alerted the government, hey, this trash can's cool, go and pick it up. And I think I read a study saying that they've actually increased opportunities. So the Internet of Things are giving job opportunities to people. And I think it was something like 50,000 jobs have been created in the city of Barcelona because of the Internet of Things.
And the important thing is that, it's intelligent jobs. And quite honestly, we get this question a lot that, hey, all this innovation is really cool, but is that taking jobs away? Maybe to a certain extent, but at the same time, it's creating so many new and exciting jobs that rather than be doing like the really mundane stuff, like being these Caterpillar trucks in the middle of the desert, in the heat and the vibration, you could still drive the truck, but remotely in a nicely air-conditioned room, with a joystick. And, the other problem that many of these older industries that we run into is that they have an aging workforce. Like in oil and gas, they say in the next 20 years, 50% of their workforce is retiring. So this is a perfect opportunity to now rehire people, but into much more intelligent and exciting roles, doing much more cleaner type of functions than they would have been doing before.
What excites you the most about the opportunity of the Internet of Things?
Well, I honestly feel like I got one of the best jobs at Cisco and in the world.
I think you have, it's amazing.
It's the diversity, every day, anybody that you talk to, they have a different set of problems that by applying technology, just simple connectivity, collecting the data, turning that to smart analytics through what we call data science, and writing cool applications to really modernize the way they were going about it the day before. So just it's like problem solving, and it's problem solving in a way that really enhances people's lives. It increases the productivity and just creates new business, monetizable business outcomes for many companies. So I just love that, the diversity, the excitement, and how you create solutions.
You speak with so much passion about the subject, and it's great to see you clearly love the job that you do, and it's making a difference to people's lives. Tony, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, James.
What else are you looking forward to doing at Cisco Live before I let you go? What's your personal highlight?
So my personal highlight is, basically how do we get the message out that, first of all, IoE is not science fiction.
It's science fact.
It's science fact. It's happening today as we speak. A lot of the elements that we talked about, Cisco is trying to make it easy. We're trying to create a level of connectivity and abstraction around, the networking that you don't have to be a CCIE to go write applications. Simple, ordinary, HTML5 programmers, high school kids, universities, startups, everyone can start innovating, and we want to create this, IoE app store. It's like iTunes for IoE, that we have so many exciting applications that people can write and they can share and create new outcomes for everybody. So that is what I would love to, make sure everyone understands and start getting on board.
Tony, thank you so much. The Internet of Things is exciting, it's happening now, and it's easy. I'm James Bedford, he's Tony Shakib. We'll see you soon. Take care.